Top Gun and WIC are really, really similar until about the halfway point for Top Gun, and then the latter half of WIC. The weapon schools themselves, there's a lot similar, and then there's also a lot different. And I think the biggest contrast that was very obvious to me about the macro side of the two weapon schools is what they're trying to accomplish. The Navy, naval aviation, it's mostly Navy, a couple Marines. They are trying to make at Top Gun in the 12 to 13 weeks they have primarily really, really good 2, 4, and light LFE flight leads.
All right, Top Gun. I would like to talk about Top Gun. I assume the movies are 100% accurate, and that's exactly how it was for you. Like, are you pretty good at volleyball?
Yeah, right. You nailed it. Yeah, movies is basically a documentary. We hit the nail on the head though.
What was your Top Gun experience as a student like?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a surreal thing. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I didn't have the fantasy in my mind of wanting to go to Top Gun. And what's unique about Top Gun in the sense that's from a pop culture standpoint that's a little bit different than the Air Force Weapons School, which is like the most amazing place. Like I have nothing but incredible things to say about the WIC and my experience working with the Air Force and those guys. But Top Gun is like it's the pop culture reference. Like as a kid, I watched the movie Top Gun. I want to go to Top Gun. And so when you're seeing how the potential of your career starts to get on that glide path that might actually work out, and then one day after all the different wickets, getting into the Marine Corps, getting into flight school, getting jets, getting Hornets, getting West Coast Hornets, getting into Carrier Squadron, and then getting selected for Top Gun, and even the training that happens when that day, your CO sits you down and says you're going to go to the Top Gun class. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's this kind of like living of the movie, and because it was so prominent in my upbringing and so prominent in my childhood of seeing Top Gun and watching the first 5 minutes of that movie 1,000 times over and over again, being there as a student is just kind of a surreal experience. Now, as you know, like it's a school, you're working your butt off. It's awesome. The instructors are awesome. You learn so much. It's the best flying you'll ever do. But there's still the part in the back of your mind, like, I cannot believe that I'm here doing this. So it was certainly a highlight at that point in my career. I was fairly junior for going there, which was pretty cool to have gotten the nod at a little bit earlier than a typical time frame. So I kind of felt very lucky and just fortunate to be there. Plus, again, you learn what you learn as a student in the weapons school. It's just nuts. So could not have asked for a better circumstance for a life event to get a chance to go as a student. I loved every second of it, man. It was awesome.
Since you have a unique perspective, now I know you didn't go to the Air Force Weapons School, and usually it's easy just to tell people like, oh, what weapons school is like, it's the Air Force's version of Top Gun, but you work pretty close to it. You
Really
were
close, yeah. Yep.
exchange officer in the
Yep.
422, which is the Air Force's operational test squadron. I mean, it's full of weapons officers making stuff happen in all the different platforms. We'll talk about that in detail, but I would like maybe to get your perspective, and if you can compare, contrast, and break it down for people, the difference between Top Gun, Weapons School, how they're similar, how they're different.
Yeah.
Again, because you have such close proximity to the Air Force version, and obviously you went through Top Gun and taught at Top Gun, so I think
Yeah.
you probably have a pretty good perspective.
Totally. And my time at the 422, we shared jets with the WIC. 422 and 433rd were hand in hand. Early in the Raptor as well too. So you're thinking the time frame from 8 to 11. The Raptor was just maturing. The weapons school was just standing up and growing. Some of my closest friends were weapons school instructors there. And as a Marine, you will not hear a bigger advocate of the Air Force than you will for me. I'm a huge, huge believer in the Air Force, and so I'm a proponent of all things. I don't. I long since outgrew like the parochial, service related biases that we all have as a Marine. I flew a ton with the Navy. I flew a ton with the Air Force. Just awesome. The weapon schools themselves, there's a lot similar, and then there's also a lot different. And I think the biggest contrast that was very obvious to me about the macro side of the two weapon schools is what they're trying to accomplish. The Navy, naval aviation, it's mostly Navy, a couple Marines. They are trying to make at Top Gun in the 12 to 13 weeks they have primarily really, really good 2, 4, and light LFE flight leads. And the integration that the Navy has when they take their Top Gun graduates to do integrated, like big integration stuff, we do that at a different place at Air Wing training. That's when we're starting to incorporate all these other things going on. The Top Gun and WIC are really, really similar until about the halfway point for Top Gun. And then the latter half of WIC, WIC is 5 months, what is it like? I'm trying to remember how many weeks is it. It's like 28 weeks or something. Some just
Yeah.
trying to do the math. I'm sure that's wrong. Is that right? 20 weeks, whatever.
Someone,
Weapons.
someone will chime in. Obviously, I
Yeah.
didn't go to it,
Somebody,
but yeah,
somebody will like that
I
guy's
always
an
show like
idiot.
two,
It's
two, two,
yeah,
two classes a year, half a
yeah.
year
So do
ish.
5 months, roughly 5 months, and it's not exactly right. Roughly 4 weeks, so about
Yeah.
20 weeks. So the latter half, the cool thing about the integration when you start thinking like ME phase, things like that, and it's every MDS, all the assets. The Air Force Weapons School continues to do that. The Top Gun is not where the Navy and the Marine Corps do that. We do that in a different place, and so the weapons schools are really similar to that cutoff point. But what an Air Force weapons school student gets is significantly more robust in the latter half. But up until that point, it's really similar. I mean, you're starting with BFM, 2 ship, 4 ship, ACM, up to like 8 ship, more integrated stuff. Where the Air Force WIC does this remarkable thing, and if anybody's ever been a part of ME phase, and certainly even just the fact that red flags come out to Nellis and the weapons school is there, there is no other version of that in the world, what the Air Force can bring to bear. And I think that's where the Air Force sees this massive benefit of what they put their WIC students through to have this capacity on this much larger scale. The Navy Marine Corps focus, and there's variations of this. Even my bros will probably message me and yell at me for saying it somewhat this way, but in a generic way, we are building really good 4 ship flight leads and really good small LFE leads because that's how we're going to operate off carriers. That's how we're going to go to war for the most part. And you probably even know this as a Viper guy, like most of the time you're going to war is as 2 ship or a 4 ship. And if it's a 4 ship, you're probably splitting off as a 2 ship. And there's a reasonable chance in the last 25 years if you went as a 2 ship, you went north, I went south. And so
Yeah.
it's really focused in that regard, um, and where the variation is a different thing. And I'm not advocating pro or con. I think they're both incredible. We need them all, but that's where the biggest split is between the two. In the end, if you want to hear a Marine tell you how great the Air Force Weapons School is, I'm the guy to ask because I got nothing but good things to say about the WIC. And the same with Top Gun and the Marine Corps Weapons School. I don't have any of this service related bias at all. I've seen it all. You guys are awesome. I mean, the WIC is awesome. ME is awesome. Red Flag is awesome. You want to fly fighters? Fly fighters out of Nellis. The training up in the ranges, nothing beats it. So it's as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's all good until you have to be red air for F-15C
yeah,
TI tactical
yeah,
intercept
yeah.
and listen to them the entire time. But other than that, like, I think that's a good perspective too. As we were talking about like the B and the C model, kind of doing everything. We talk about fighter integration,
Yeah.
strengths and weaknesses, but that's another good perspective. And now, like Operation Midnight Hammer, in my mind, is a great way of giving the public a view of like, hey, the capstone of weapons school is that, right?
Yes.
You
There you go.
have you have air, you have cyber, you have space, you have low observable assets, you got fourth gen,
Yes.
fifth gen, everyone in the mix coming to bear to bring the might of the United States wherever we want, whenever we want to do
Yep.
it. So that to me, like the capstone of weapons school, like it's being able to execute that type mission, right? But then
Perfect.
like you
Perfect
said too, the
example.
last 25 years, it's usually, hey, we're going to do yo-yo ops and you're going to the tanker and I'm gonna
Yep.
be, here talking to the JTAC.
Yeah.
So
You
um,
you hit the nail on the head, Rain. That you nailed that whole thing is exactly right. I'm fully aligned with you there.
the well, okay, I guess we're done. So that was good. That's an interesting perspective. Again, you have such a unique view of that, having come from the Marine Corps, and then going like do the 422 exchange. We do have obviously a handful of exchanges throughout the Air Force, throughout DoD, right?
Yeah.
To me, that 422 would be a very coveted position because you have all the major weapon systems when it comes to fighters